I know your story. I've read it cover to cover. And I know the storms that will come. The waves will swell and the sky will darken. Though you'll fight against the current, you'll be swept away. You'll feel helpless and abandoned, and you'll wonder where I am in the midst of it all. I know this isn't the way you thought our relationship would work, but my plans are not for my comfort or yours. My purposes are always and only an expression of love. The scars in my hands are proof that love will sometimes lead you directly into the storm. Though you can't understand my plans, you can trust in one thing, that I am entirely good. You can't even imagine how good I am, and my plan for you is no different. When you shout asking where I am, know that I am right behind you, with my arms wrapped tightly around you, whispering, I will never let go. For you are the pinnacle of my creation and the center of my affection. There will come a day when I will quiet every storm and wipe away every tear. In that day, there will be no more pain or death. But until that day comes, I will be your anchor in this storm.
Well, hey, Grace, I hope that you're having a wonderful day. And man, what a powerful video that our media team put together and was able to find. And as today's message is confidence over chaos. I've been the word confidence has just been resonating in my spirit, and it's been something that I've been wanting to talk about and deal with. And as you watch that video and you hear about Jesus being the anchor in every season and the anchor in our life and what we do and what we deal with, what a great segue into today's message. And as we've been going through just crazy things after crazy things, and it seems like what else can life throw us? What else can 2020 throw us? I want you to know this, that you can find confidence in chaos. You can find confidence in everything because confidence is yours and confidence comes from the Lord. My confidence in all that I do, my confidence in all that I say doesn't come from my abilities. It doesn't come from my gifts. It doesn't come from anything that I know that I can do on my own. But my confidence, the foundation of all that I do, is based on my relationship with Jesus. And because of the resume that I have with him, I know that there's nothing I'm facing that I should be confident in. There's nothing that I'm going through that I should not be confident in. And Grace, as a church, we need to walk through these seasons with confidence in knowing that God is watching us every single step of the way. And so today, as we get into today's message, I want you to know just the word confident. Just an easy definition of confident is this: having strong belief or full assurance, sure, confident of fulfillment. And if that's not scripture, confident of fulfillment, knowing that God will fulfill everything that he said he was going to do. But also, here's another definition. It says, sure of oneself, having no uncertainty about one's own ability, correctness, successfulness. I love that saying, having no uncertainty about one's abilities. Do not be uncertain in the ability that one God's given you, but also the one who's walking beside you in every season and everything that life deals you. But also this, I love this third definition of confident. It says excessively bold and presumptuous. Man, I hope, Grace, I hope that we can be a church that is excessively bold. I hope that we can take a hold of what God's called us to do, and that no matter what situation life brings us, no matter what CNN says, no matter what Fox News says, no matter what any media outlet says, is that we can be excessively bold in knowing that, man, our confidence isn't in me. It's not in us. It's not in this building. It's not in any physical being, but it is in Jesus Christ, the one who has given us the power to do everything that we know to do. And so I hope that we can be a church that is excessively bold in every season. But I want to give you some scripture, and I also want to encourage you with this, Grace. I want you to do this. Sometime this week, just go to your Bible app or go to a computer and go to your Bible Gateway, all these different places that you can go to, and just type in the word confident or confidence and see how many times the Bible makes mention of it. And look at that and find your confidence in that. But I've highlighted a couple scriptures, and the first one that I want to talk about is Hebrews chapter 10, verse 35. And I'm going to come back to this here in just a bit as we close, but I want to start with this one as well. But it says this: so do not throw away your confidence, it will be richly rewarded. And then also Matthew 6:27 says this: can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? I know it's easy to say, hey, don't worry, be happy, or hey, don't worry about this, or hey, don't stress about this. When you're on the outside looking in, it's easy to tell somebody not to stress over something. It's easy to tell someone not to worry about something. It's easy to go and just tell somebody, hey, listen, it's going to be okay, it's going to be all right. But unless you're physically in that position, man, there's just something that we need as a human being. There's something that we need that's tangible. And so people can tell us all day it's going to be all right, but the Bible does encourage us with this: worrying is not going to help. You worrying about COVID, you worrying about all the different things that are going on in our nation right now isn't going to add a single second to your life. But also Philippians 1:6 says this: being confident of this, the one who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. Just know this: the Lord, it's not if, the Lord has started a good work in every single one of you guys. There's not a person that's a part of grace. There's not a person in this world. There's not a person in this room that God hasn't already started something. So if he's started it, he is going to be faithful in finishing what he has started. So you have to find confidence in that. But also 1 John 5:14 says this: this is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he will hear us. I don't know that there's a lot of great scriptures in the Bible, but I don't know that there is a greater reassurance. I don't know if there's just anything greater that I can lean on in any time, in any season, or anything that I'm dealing with, to know this. It says, this is the confidence that I have. I can approach God with any need, any request, anything that I have, and the good news is he hears me. Grace, he hears you. Right now, whether you're in your home, in your car, no matter where you are, when you're praying and you're crying out to God, it may be just a whisper. It may be a loud voice. It may be something where you're crying out to God. You may be in your prayer closet just crying out to God, but he hears you. And have confidence in this. You're not just praying amiss. You're not just praying and hoping that God hears you. Everything you say, God hears. And not only does he hear you, but he wants to help you. And so as we find confidence, there's some quotes, and some of these were actually in my locker when I was in high school playing baseball, basketball, football. These quotes stayed in my locker, and I love these. And one of this says this: as is our confidence, so is our capacity. The capacity that you live in, the capacity that you deal with, it all hinges to your confidence. And also this right here: confidence is contagious, but so is the lack of confidence. When you're a part of a group and you're a part of a church or you're a part of a team, man, confidence is contagious. If you're around people that love their job, if you're around people that are good at what they do, man, that's contagious. Confidence is very contagious. When you're walking with somebody who knows where they're going or they know what they're doing, I've got confidence in following that person. But also, just as confidence is contagious, so is that lack of confidence. If one person is walking through a season and they're like, man, I just don't know, or they're discouraged, or they don't have the Bible to lean on, they don't have certain things to go from, all of a sudden here it is, that lack of confidence is contagious as well. So what are you producing? Grace, this is my question to you. What are you producing today? Are you producing confidence that people can follow? Or are you producing a lack of confidence that people don't want to follow? Or people don't want to be a part of? Man, I want to be a part of confidence. I want to be a part of a leader that knows where we're going, that knows what God's called us to do. He's laid the groundwork before us, and he said, listen, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. And right now, there are more questions than we've ever had in our life. We don't know about vaccines. We don't know about what's going on in society. We don't know if school's going to start. We don't know if schools are going to be able to be open. We don't know a lot of different things. But what I can say is that I have confidence in following someone who knows where we're going. And I've got confidence in Jesus. I got confidence in my calling. I've got confidence in knowing that he's not going to lead me somewhere I should not be. But I've got to listen to his voice. And I've got to be willing to hear him in every season. I can't let the chaos, I can't let all that is going on in the world drown out the most important voice in my life. And my favorite quote, I have loved this from the first time I heard it. I think I was in 9th grade when I heard it, but it says this: our future is our confidence and self-esteem. Your future lies in your confidence and your self-esteem. So pretty much what you think of yourself, in lies your future. And what I want to say today is this: consistency produces confidence. My confidence comes in consistency. If you talk to any athlete or you talk to most people, I love that there are some athletes that just seem to just dominate what they do. Serena Williams is one. Tiger Woods is one. And you think about, I remember they were interviewing Serena Williams once, and she had won like her 7,000th tournament or whatever. She's won so many, I don't even know why people play against her anymore. But they asked her after the tournament went on and she won again, and they asked her, they just said, well, how do you feel? She goes, well, they ask her, do you get overwhelmed by the circumstance? Do you get overwhelmed by the crowds? Do you ever get to a point to where you just feel like, man, there's a lot of pressure here? And she just simply said, well, I've hit a lot of tennis balls. I mean, that's all she said. She's so confident. And what she's saying is, I have hit enough tennis balls. I've done this enough to where it's almost just, it's human nature for me to respond the way that I do. It's just the way that it is, because I have done this so many times. I can be consistent in this, and I can find confidence because it's something that I do every single day of my life. All I do is hit tennis balls, and so I should have confidence in this. And there is nothing that intimidates this woman, because she has confidence in herself, and she has confidence in the consistency that she has built in her life. The same way with us here at Grace. You can build confidence and consistency, but are you consistent in your prayer? Man, we have corporate prayer Wednesdays and Saturdays. Are you a part of that? Are you consistent in your prayer? The reason why some people, they don't find themselves confident is because they have no prayer life. I am extremely confident in who God's called me to be because of the prayer life that I have. I talk to Jesus on a daily basis. I talk with him, I walk with him, I let him speak back to me, and that is where my confidence is in. And statistics will tell you, hey, consistency and confidence. Right now, I know our physical doors aren't open, but we still have services available just like right now. But they will tell you that the average churchgoer, the faithful churchgoer, will attend 1 out of every 3 Sundays. That is not consistent, nor does that breed confidence. I cannot be confident in my church. I can't be confident in my pastor. I can't be confident in my walk with the Lord if I'm showing up to church once a month. And the reason why we as a church don't have confidence in a season like this is because we don't have consistency in our walk with Christ. And I'm telling you right now, consistency is what builds confidence. I don't get fazed by much. My outward appearance will never show you that I'm worried about anything, because my consistency lies in my relationship with Christ and what he's called me to do. I know he's not going to bring me to a season that he's not going to equip me to get through that season. And here at Grace, I want you guys to know this. We may be in rough waters right now, but the Lord is walking with us every single step of the way. And he's asking for a little bit of consistency in your life. And the basis of this story, and actually what made me think of this message, the whole reason why I'm preaching this message today is because of one kid. And his name is Amorion. And I was, the 4th of July weekend, I was sitting there and I went to the gym and I went back to where I lived and I looked at the pool and I noticed there was nobody there, and I thought, man, this is good. I'll go by the pool and I'll just go enjoy the pool. And so I went home and changed clothes and went by the pool, and for about 30 minutes, I was enjoying life because I was the only person at the pool, and I thought, man, for the 4th of July, this is pretty amazing that I can sit here at the pool and have it to myself. It's like I rented the whole place out. Well, then in a matter of probably 30 minutes went by, and all of a sudden, it's like a school bus dropped off 50 kids. All of a sudden, there was kids all over the place. There were parents all over the place. The pool was packed. And I was sitting there, and I turned my music off, and I began to watch these kids play, and I began to watch these kids get in the water, and these 3 kids caught my attention. And I saw the mom, and I saw the 3 kids, and I saw the 2 older brothers get in the water. And because I am the baby of 3, of course, I'm going to be drawn to the baby of 3 boys. And I watched this little kid, and I watched him watch his brothers get in the water, and he watched everybody else swimming, he watched everybody else jumping and playing and having a good time, and they were doing their thing, and he had this vest on, and it looked like a floaty device or something, and it looked like if he got in the water, he would still be fine. And even his mom was telling him, she said, hey, you can get in the water, and his brothers tried to get him in the water. His brothers were trying to encourage him to get in the water, but he just wasn't listening to anyone there, because he just thought for sure, even if he jumped in the water, even with the security of what he had on, I mean, it was the biggest kind of life vest I've ever seen. I don't even know that he could swim if he wanted to with this thing on, because it was so protective. But, and I don't have kids, and maybe they make these things that are really cool now, but it really looked like he could jump in the water and he could have just floated the way that he was. But I noticed that he was noticing just the chaos around him, all the kids jumping in, and it was kind of an overwhelming experience. I do believe that if he was there by himself, it would have been a completely different experience. But the fact that there were so many kids around, and there were so many kids that could do what he could not do, he was a little overwhelmed. And so I was sitting there, being the baby of 3 boys. I walked over to the mom, and the mom physically could not get in the water, and she couldn't help her son any more than just kind of coaching him. And so I walked over to this young man, and I walked over to the mom, and I said, hey, I said, do you mind? I said, my name is Matt. I said, do you mind if I talk to your son and try to get him to get in the water with me? And she said, man, if you can get him to get in the water, she's like, I don't care what you do, whatever, just get him in the water. She said, I don't mind. And so I walked over to this young boy, and kids, like I love kids, but it's hidden. There is no gray area with kids with me. Either kids look at me and they think, oh my God, this guy's big, and they start crying and they lose their mind, or either I'm a jungle gym and they just have the time of their life with me. There is no medium. There is no gray area. It's either they love me or they hate me. And so I walked up to this kid and I got down on my knee and I just looked at him and I said, hey man, I said, do you want to get in the water? And he looked at me and he goes, who are you? And I said, well, my name is Matt. I said, what's your name? And he said, my name is Omorion. I said, well, Omorion, I said, do you want to get in the water? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, why don't you get in the water? He said, well, I'm scared. I said, why are you scared? He said, because I can't swim. And I looked at him, I said, buddy, I said, you've got a vest on. It's going to make you float. I said, you're not going to drown with that. I said, if I get in the water, will you get in the water with me? And he looked at me and he goes, well, can you swim? And so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, first of all, it doesn't matter if I can swim or not, because what we're looking at is 3 to 4 feet of water. Our pool goes from 3, 4, and then I think 5 is the deepest it goes. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if I know how to swim or not. But Omorion looked at me and he was questioning whether I could swim or not. And I looked at him and I said, buddy, I said, let me show you something. And I jumped down in the water, and now me and Omorion are looking face to face. I am standing in the water. And I'm looking at him now face to face, and I said, listen, I said, I can swim. I said, but do you think it matters? And he just kind of grinned, and he just kind of looked at me. I said, no, seriously. I said, you can come to me, and I will help you. I said, I'm not going to let you drown. I said, whatever it is, I said, I want you to get in the water with me. And so he came to the edge, and he jumped down, and of course, I put him in the water, and he was just flailing. His arms were going all over the place, and he was just losing his mind. He thought for a second, because I let go of him, he thought he was going to drown. And finally, I looked at him more, and I said, stop. I said, look. I was like, are you going anywhere? And he just kind of looked at me. When he realized that what he was wearing was keeping him afloat, he realized a whole different story. And so I looked at him, I said, listen, I said, I'm not going to let you drown. I said, I want to help you. And so I sat there and I held him and I showed him how to swim. And we were sitting there and we were just, we were having fun. I was sitting there and all of a sudden, because of his brothers and because of the situation, everybody was like, man, he can't swim. He doesn't know how to swim. He don't get in the water. And all of his friends were telling me all the things that Omorion couldn't do. But yet here it is. I'm sitting there holding Omorion and he's doing really well. He's doing great. And so he gets back out of the water and now he's finding more confidence. It got to where he barely wanted to get in the water to now he's jumping in, he's diving in. If I wasn't there to catch him, he wouldn't get in at first. But now I could have my back turned and he would jump and all I feel is feet on the back of my neck. That's all I would feel. Because he was building confidence in what, one, he could do, but one, the fact that there was somebody in his life that was a voice in his life and someone that cared about him that was not going to let him drown. And what Amorion was missing in his life was a constant voice, but someone who not only told him he could swim, but someone that was going to actually get in the water with him. And as I sat there with Amorion, and as the day went on, I was trying to teach him and talk to him, and as we were sitting there and we were sitting here in this pool, and I was helping him, I said, hey, do you want to take that off and see if you can actually swim? And he was like, oh, no. He was like, no, not at all. I was like, let's do this. And he kept telling me no, but, well, I'm 6'4", 300 pounds, and he's about, he's 5 years old. That's all that matters. So I just unsnapped the thing, and I took it off of him, and I held him. And he, of course, he starts losing it again. And I'm holding him, and I said, stop. I said, look. I said, are you going anywhere? I said, you're not going underwater. I was like, you're fine. I was like, I've got you. And I sat there and held Amorion and let him swim. And we sat there and we swam through that whole pool. And man, he was having a blast. He was having a good time. I threw the life jacket back to his mom. And we were sitting there. And in a matter of 30 minutes, Amorion realized, one, he didn't need that vest anymore. But also, he didn't really need me. And as he was sitting there going on, he was swimming and he was learning how to do this thing on his own. But the funny thing about it is as I was sitting there, now he wants to do more because his confidence is building. Now he wants to jump. Now he was like, hey, can you throw? And so I just kind of took him and I tossed him. Now, granted, he went a long way. And so he went and he swam and he came back to me and I tossed him again. Well, now he is like a little pool evangelist. He goes and tells everybody, hey, listen, my friend Matt can throw you. And so guess what I did for the next 30 minutes? I just threw kids. And so that I'm telling you right now, of the 4th of July experience that I had, it went from a kid who knew nothing to a kid who now is spreading the word that this person can help and this person can do certain things. And as I sat there and I was getting ready to leave, the mom thanked me and I said, no, I'm a baby of 3. I get it. I understand. And as I left, Amorion said, he goes, hey, are we friends? I said, absolutely, we're friends. He said, are you going to be here every time I'm here? I was like, no. I was like, I won't be here all the time. I was like, but the good thing is you know how to swim, and whether I'm here or not, you can jump in that pool with full confidence knowing that you can do whatever it is you want to do. And I said, but we are friends, and if you want me to be here when you're here, I will be here. And I wanted to make sure that they knew that I could be there anytime I wanted to. But one thing I want us to understand is this kid was so overwhelmed with the circumstances. Did he have the ability to swim? Yes. But what he was lacking in his life was a voice and someone in his life to encourage him to do things that he never thought he could do. And if I had it my way, I would have loved to have recorded from the pool. As a matter of fact, I've seen Amorion three different times since then, and I think we are best friends. We are. If I can be best friends with a 5-year-old, I guess I am best friends with him because every time I go to the pool and I see him, he always comes by and we sit there and talk and we enjoy life. It's great. But if I had it my way, I would have recorded this message from our pool because as I was thinking about a story in the Bible, you think about the situation where the disciples are in a boat, and it's a story of Peter walking on the water. And that story is found in Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 32. And if you got your Bibles, you can turn that open, or I'm pretty sure our media team will have that for you as well. But here's the story if you don't know it. And there's so many variables to this story that it's hard to kind of narrow it down to one because there's so many routes you can go. But here's what it says. It says, immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side. While he dismissed the crowd, after he had dismissed them, he went up onto the mountainside by himself to pray. Now later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from him and buffeted by the waves because the wind was against him. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. Now, first of all, Jesus sent them before him. Jesus was done teaching at the moment, and he told the guys, he goes, hey, you guys go get in the boat. You guys head that way. I'll be there shortly. And so the disciples didn't even ask. They didn't say, well, Jesus, how are you going to get to the other side? Or how do you plan on getting over there? There was no Uber. There was nothing to kind of get him to the other side. There was no boat he could call. And so there was no concern from the disciples. They were just like, well, if Jesus told us to go, we'll go. And this is what we'll do. And Jesus said, hey, I'll meet you guys back on the other side. And so they dismiss and they go their own certain ways. But it says shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. It's a ghost, they said, and they cried out with fear. Now, first of all, you just left Jesus on the shore side, and you know that he said, hey, I'm going to be joining you guys later, and the disciples are now on their way, and the wind is kind of picking up, and the water is kind of picking up, and the waves are picking up, and they're fighting against this current, and they're fighting against the waves, and they're trying to get to the other side, but in all the while, they have to know that they left Jesus, and Jesus is going to be joining them sometime soon. And so in my small mind, I think if I was a disciple and I'm sitting there and the water's crazy and we're heading to the other side, and somewhere in the middle of the night, there's this figure that shows up, I'd be like, oh, that's Jesus. He's just doing Jesus things. He's walking on water toward us. Like that's what I would think. But the disciples are losing their mind. They think it's a ghost. They have no idea who is heading their way. But this is what it says in verse 27. But Jesus immediately said to them, take courage, it is I, don't be afraid. And then Peter said, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water. Now, first of all, if I thought someone was a ghost or a killer, I wouldn't be like, hey, if you're a killer, tell me you're not a killer. Or hey, if you're sitting here to rob me, tell me you're not here to rob me. Like that doesn't, like this, a lot of this story doesn't make sense. But as I look into this, like Peter just says, hey, if you are the Son of God, well, tell me to come. And so what does Jesus say? He says, well, come on. That's all Jesus says. He says, come. And so then Peter got down out of the boat, walked onto the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink and cried out, Lord, save me. Verse 31 says, immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. And this is all Jesus said. You of little faith, why did you doubt? And then they climbed into the boat. The wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshiped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. Grace, there's 4 things today I want to talk to you about finding your confidence and knowing who God's called you to be. The first thing is this. You find your confidence in recognizing God's presence. In tough times, are we better at recognizing God's presence than the disciples? Matthew 14:28 says this, as Peter said, Lord, is it you? There's things that cloud our vision of who God is. There's things that the enemy wants to bring your way. There's chaos that the enemy wants to bring your way to where you cloud your idea of who God is. And he doesn't want you to understand God's presence. And the reason is this. There's one thing I have found to be so true. God's presence brings protection. God's presence brings protection. And that's why the enemy doesn't want you to understand God's presence. That's why, and as Peter's in the boat and he's sitting there and he's crying out and he said, look at me and goes, well, hey, is that you? Jesus is out there on the water. And it's not like this is a visitor. It's not like this is someone they don't know. This is somebody that they've walked the earth with. This is someone that they have relationship with. If I was sitting there, and my Father were to call me out, I would know his voice. I would not have a second thought about joining him where he's at because of my relationship with my dad, because of the honor that I have for my dad, but also because of everything I know about my dad. If my dad is telling me to come somewhere, then I know that's where safety is. If my dad is asking me to go somewhere, then I know he's not going to ask